Oh, Lord. Hey there, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive After Dark. So tonight I've got Emily. How you doing, darling?
Hi.
And James Ray has come over from the Political Deep Dive. How you doing, James?
Doing really well. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for coming on tonight. That was a great talk, and an important subject for us to get more information on, because I think people just think that nuclear energy is always going to be dangerous, and it's the inherent risk of nuclear power, but there's safer ways to do it. And I think that getting us into that innovation of nuclear power is going to help us long term and be the long term energy solution for not just the United States but everybody.
Yeah. I feel terrible that I did not mention the Price Anderson insurance guarantee subsidy to all of the nuclear industry in the United States, which effectively kills this sort of safety innovation because there's a floor on the disaster possibilities. You can't lose any more, and I forget how much it is. One of the reasons I'm a lame guest, I should know that number. But anyway, it's some
People can Google it.
yeah, it's some Googleable number, and it's a terrible thing no matter what number it is, because the taxpayers are on the hook for it, and what I want is for a power source to be safe enough that Warren Buffett wants to write insurance policies where Warren Buffett is on the hook for it if anything F's up. And we have that capability with energy from thorium. Do I think Warren Buffett would or could or should write a policy on light water reactors? Hell no. I wouldn't tell him to.
Yeah, and I know that that's going to be the thing is, they want their protections. They want, we were talking about that they want the ability to, have the government fund the development and research of a lot of this stuff. The first mover costs, uh, and I think that's going to. I mean, it's probably going to happen. We know our federal government; they're going to dump a ton of money into this. And as soon as the Chinese do, because it's going to end up being a red scare, and they're gonna dump bunch of money into it. And that's the dumb thing is you don't have to have a red scare over this. This is the preferable nuclear power that we want. I would be okay with Iran having one of these facilities in their country to provide nuclear power.
Now you're sounding crazy like me.
I mean, you care if other people have access to energy, and how it affects our world.
Yeah, see,
come on, Dave.
Libertarians don't believe in borders, so we need to export the stuff that is going to raise the standard of living. People like to bag on capitalism, but the increases in standard of living throughout the world, even in the some of the most desolate parts of the world, is 10 times better, or factors of hundreds times better than it was less than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And let us not forget, the globe is a closed area. What happens here has a direct effect on something on the other side of the earth if it's big enough. So how on earth is it anything but advisable to go nuclear for the betterment of the planet? no
Yeah.
matter what country you're in.
If you're serious about doing about reducing global warming, greenhouse gases, all of that stuff, you have to have nuclear in as a major component of the equation, because you can't do you're not going to be able to do this on solar panels. You're not going to be able to do this in wind turbines. It's just not
The
gonna happen.
major component. Energy density matters. In case somebody's new here, I'm gonna hold up the stupid cartoon again.
And I posted it today. So
Well, he's getting the cartoon, the riff tracks. Oh no, I'll get back to my point. There we go.
I mean, and they think I'm an idiot, but David was making a really good point earlier on about there's a point that's made in that 5-minute video that I love so much. There's a point that's made near the end about slavery, okay? And David was talking about whaling, but the truth is harnessing carbon also allowed us to become humans. And I'm convinced that it wasn't only technology, but technology played a role in ending slavery. And everyone wants to give the credit to war. It's always war. Everyone's worshiping war, 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 war. Well, it was technology that ended this. And with this leap forward in technology, if you listen to the end of that 5-minute video, if with this leap forward in technology, with this kind of abundance, we can really become human beings again. We can do so much more for the world, and like I was saying to David, I'm likely to squander it. I see what I did with bandwidth. I fall asleep in Zoom calls, but even if I have enough to squander, that means poor people are going to have enough to survive, and that's good for everybody. And I don't want anyone poor anymore. Ultimately, we've got to have at least a toothbrush for people.
Yes. And James Savina wrote that what people here in West Virginia want to mine coal until it runs out. And that's the ironic thing, is that we find thorium when we mine coal. We find thorium in many different mining operations. The United States has a vast supply of thorium, so we move from coal to mining thorium. But you don't need as much thorium to produce that massive amount of energy. I mean, it's 4 million times more efficient than coal in producing energy.
Well, the impurities in coal have more energy in them than the coal itself. That's what floored me. At that point, I'm like, uh-oh, I've really got to just. Obviously, my advocacy is not very good if we're still doing any of this at all.
Sure, and when you look at where the thorium is located at, it's across the major nuclear power. So the United States has a ton of it. India has a ton of it. They have actually the most. China has it. Russia has it.
Beach sand is a really good source, I've heard, and I think I know the part of the sand. If you look at the sand in Florida, it looks white in photographs, but there's actually some black, really fine sand mixed in there too.
Yeah.
And I think that's the monazite ore that I think is the, it's among the quartz and shell fragments and all that's white. But the black stuff is, I think, the monazite ore. And there's not much of it in there, but it's enough. I mean, that sand is a better source than coal.
Yeah.
Well, and what James said about why are we so hell-bent on coal, this is a multi-generational business. People don't necessarily know the way out. So what do we do once we've mined the thorium that we need? Where do those jobs go? Of course, I mean, the worry is rather short-sighted, I think, but perhaps, Dave, you have more to say on it than I.
Well, here in West Virginia particularly, it's because you have these families that have mined coal for years, that own the mines, that they just want that gravy train to keep running. And eventually we're going to run out. I mean, we're blasting, the tops off of mountains to try and get at this stuff. And, while we are digging past oodles and oodles of thorium. So, I mean, like it makes no sense. You know, even if West Virginia said, you know what, let's convert to thorium mining, and you know, I know that the right now the consumer would be China, although China has a ton of it. But if we're mining it already, then we could be selling it overseas markets, especially these
There's
first
so
movers.
much that it's hard to even sell, though.
Yeah,
And it's just it's a very common thing, which is good and bad. But I think it's overall good. You know, I'm going to say
Mhm.
it's good because it's going to give humanity so many chances to do it. And suppose, I mean, let's talk about okay, China's the most obvious likely country to harness it, but let's talk about Iran or North Korea harnessing it. If they did, would it be a disaster in my life? I don't think so. I
no,
would love it. I mean, I want our enemies to have an energy source that gives them light and enough power that they want to sell it to us. I mean, I see nothing but good from this kind of thing
Mhm.
because we've had so much bad from so many things for so long. And, you know, for those of us who want an end to the mass murder that is endless undeclared war, this just seems like such a great hope.
yeah, because I mean, most of the other stuff is, you know, when people talk about wind turbines use a lot of oil. You got to oil those things up to get them to move.
And
So
nickel, I believe.
yeah, I mean, they use a lot of resources for
Mhm.
wind turbines. Now, I'm not saying that turbines are bad, except for the fact that they kill a lot of birds. Um,
I think that's a myth.
They
uh,
kill bats too.
they do, especially when they have them, like West Texas, where they've got just these you for as far as you can see are just wind turbines lined up across the. Now, will animals adapt and start going around them? I hope so, but you know,
Yeah. I mean, what
birds
are the
still fly into
statistics on
windows.
that?
Yeah.
Because I heard that a lot of animals are killed by them, but it I haven't seen any statistics.
All right.
It's bad. It's pretty bad. If you go to the LP Energy from Thorium Caucus page, there's an article about what it does to bats, but it also does really bad things about birds. And I think we've got an article about what it does to birds too. It's just, it's one of these things is likely to strike you if you are flying around. And it's just, it's a fact of life. And in the case of the bats, it doesn't even need to strike the bat itself. If the blade passes near enough to the bat, the pressure change in the air pressure disrupts the bat's lungs to the point that the bat is going to die. And bats are so
Oh.
important.
Damn.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
bats are super. I'm a longtime fan of bats. My dad was
Mhm.
I think a founding member or something of Bat Conservation International. We went to the
Oh.
Bat Cave. You know, I just love bats. I'm I'm all into them, and I want humanity to do more for bats. So I really, really hate the idea of killing bats in any way.
Yeah.
I want to save them and help them, and
Little known fact, they're a pollinator.
yes, they are. And they are also more closely related to humans DNA wise than rodents. So even though they look like a flying rat, they're actually a flying person, you know?
Well, yeah, we all evolved from the same it was a rodent, but at some point, of course, evolution diverged, and I think bats diverged uh, from
They were
our
close enough.
branch, whereas
Some
rodents had
politicians,
already diverged. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
politicians have not quite diverged, but
Pete Buttigieg, I'll just say it. He does look like a rat.
yeah.
There are certain Democrats that look
I
like
was thinking Mitch McConnell, even though
you
he's
know,
more
J-
liberal.
Lizard
James,
people.
James Carville is a rat snake, or you know, a rattlesnake. Mitch McConnell is obviously Yertle the turtle. There's various politicians out there.
Oh yeah. So in the news this week, We had an interesting week. Last weekend was the Kentucky Derby before we went on the air. Won by Medina Spirit. I'm not really sure how they pronounce it, but turns out that Spirit. So it should be called Armstrong Spirit because it was doping, and it won the Kentucky Derby on betamethasone, and so now the world famous trainer Bob Baffert, who has won more, I think he's won. This was the one that set the record for most Kentucky Derbies won by a single trainer, and now he is suspended indefinitely by the Churchill Downs Racing Association from training
He
anymore.
claims innocence.
But what do you do if you're a winner and you won the bet, or what do you do if you're a loser and you think you should win the bet? I mean, this is all kinds of lawsuits, if you ask me.
Well, so I think they until they start holding these pending all toxicology results or whatever, the bets settled at that time are final, and I liken it to when probably about 7 or so years ago, one of the champions of the NCAA tournament was vacated, but they didn't hand the title to the team that lost to them. They just said the title's vacated. And I don't think it has any impact on betting, but yeah, I mean it's amazing, just the high stakes of horse racing and what they'll do to those poor animals.
I am livid about what humans do to animals, especially horses. I mean, we've brought them into war. It's despicable and disgusting, and we're just fancy apes. It pisses me off.
Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty bad with the greyhounds too. And I got to say, greyhounds, they're not the brightest dogs, but they're the sweetest dogs ever. And the way greyhounds get treated by that industry is it makes me ashamed to be human in a way. It's like, why are you people doing this to dogs? It's one thing to keep a racing dog. It's another thing to just totally deprive him of any human or other dog contact.
Yeah.
And it's not like this is unknown. Like, I've never even heard of a dog race actually happening, so I could go watch it, or so I mean, but I know that these dogs are abused. So why are these people giving their money to these people who abuse animals?
Well, it's gambling. People like to gamble. Now, I will say that
things to gamble on.
in Florida and West Virginia, the last two states to actually have active greyhound tracks. And we
got rid of them.
Oh, you guys got rid of them in Florida? So West Virginia
this year.
Yeah, West Virginia is the last one up in Wheeling, West Virginia. There's a dog racing track there. They've tried to, over the last few years, trying to get rid of dog racing here in the state, but our legislators here in the Eastern Panhandle voted against it because we've got horse racing here, and they're afraid that if they get rid of dog racing in the Northern Panhandle, the Eastern Panhandle will lose the horses. And I'm not opposed to losing either one of them. Let's stop abusing animals. Let's
Well, and I don't think all horse racing is abusive. And I mean, dogs and horses love to run, but until the rampant abuse is put in check, then I can't understand the patronage.
I fell in love with greyhounds when my brother got a rescue greyhound, and his greyhound was retired from racing because He was kind of I think he was smarter than the average greyhound. He was kind of lazy, so he wasn't really that motivated to just race for them. But if he saw something that he wanted to get after, believe me, Chirpy, and his official name wasn't Chirpy, but he chirped rather than barking, so we called him Chirpy. Chirpy would go after this thing, and it was like a cartoon. In the cartoons where the road goes up under the road runner and like crumples up. This was all of these clumps of dirt going and then settling behind the dog, and there's like a quarter mile behind the dog or something. There's these chunks of dirt still settling, while the dog has decided to interrupt his day-long sleep with a brief burst of sleep. But most of the day, this dog is sitting there sleeping, or just not doing much. But it's an amazing dog, and he was really kind. And you know what I liked about Chirpy? Chirpy at parties, would act like a good dog. And so he would be looking at the food on the table. He would not be stealing any food off the table. He would be looking at the food on the table. Every single person, I would watch the people give him food. Every single person thought they were the only person giving Chirpy food.
They know how to play us.
Cashing in on the party food, and my brother's other dogs, who are much more direct in trying to steal food off the table, they've been banned from the room. Chirpy's the only one in there getting food, and he's getting the lion's share of the food. It was hilarious. Believe me,
subtle approach worked.
I have this dachshund on my lap precisely because I have some banana bread. He doesn't care about my lap right now, but I have banana bread.
Well,
they're so funny.
I try and sneak banana bread too. So
yeah, we both be sitting on your lap too.
Come on over. I don't know how much room there is on my lap, but there's plenty of banana bread.
There we go. How has everyone's week been so far?
I might be starting a new job.
I have, I've been looking for jobs too. I can tell you the one victory, I make jokes all the time about this, but when I came to Sarasota as a libertarian, I was from across the state, and I came over here because my dad was in the process of dying, and he needed my care. My mom couldn't do it alone. And so I came over here, and I always admired the gay community here in Sarasota. They always had these great parties. Their esprit de corps was huge. And we also had a libertarian party here in Sarasota. All of the leadership left. They left for Colorado and South Carolina, and they're great libertarians still, but they're not here. And everybody wanted for me to assume leadership, which is not what I wanted to do. And so I was like, oh God, let's just let the bank account, which these people worked very, very hard for, by the way, let's let the bank account die. Let's let everything die, and let's just be in anarchy for a while. Well, now I have this plan. There's this guy, and he's this gay guy, and he is really well organized, and he's at least libertarian friendly, if not totally one of us. And I am trying to romance him into the party. And if I do this, this dude, his parties, when the Sarasota LP would have meetings, the most people we had was maybe, 18 people, 15 people at a bar or something like that. This dude's parties, the last one was too crowded. I think it had 200 people or something like that, Is it gay? Yes, it's gay. Do I care? No, I do not care. I'll be gay as far as that's concerned. Just to have parties this successful and this well attended, this guy's parties are fucking fun. And so I like him. He saw me carrying a Libertarian Party sign, one of the gray signs that we have, because I was giving it to another guy who said he was libertarian, and at this cannabis event, okay, and he saw me and he said, "Hey," he was happy, okay, and he works at my favorite pizza place around there, so of course he's, that's in my heart already, and the pizza place is run by these two really cool lesbians, and they're the best. I mean, they're so funny, and it's just I have a great gay community here, and all I need to do is welcome them, and I think they'll already be the Libertarian Party. I want them to be my gay replacement in Region 10 and all that.
Well, maybe don't refer to them as lesbos.
All right, whatever. I get along with these people really well, but I don't know what they're such cool people. They're so nice.
GSM is the best way to do it.
Pardon me?
GSM is the best way to do it.
GSM.
Gender and sexual minorities.
Yes.
Oh, all right. I'm really new to this stuff. I'm not that good at it.
All good.
All right.
They're going to be
all about learning.
If this happens, it's going to be such a win. And this guy, his parties, I don't know how he does it. He is so good and so talented, and I just want to watch him and copy him.
Some people just have that knack to whenever they throw an event, it becomes the thing everyone in the area wants to do. So those are the people that you want to get hooked into and bring on board, and
especially since our message is just so very friendly to the GSM community. Tyler Smith, if you need any, I'm sure he would be happy to talk with these people. He's a regular on the After Hours show.
He's doing an interview tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that. Okay, this guy, his name is Joshua. I invited him to the Outright Libertarians thingy that's coming up on the 18th, and he didn't say no. He said interested or something like that. Okay. Well, I'm winning, and I've told the guy, okay, I've insisted to the guy that I'm going to take him to lunch, and I'm going to take him to lunch with my there's a gay dude who saw my car sticker, my Joe Jorgensen car sticker, and he's actually gay, so he has gay credibility, unlike me. I love the gays, but I don't know the gay issues like he would.
Yeah.
But this guy lives it. He is a gay dude, and so Chris is going to come out and do lunch with me, and ideally we're going to take this guy to lunch on the day of the Outright Libertarians event, and then he's going to come to the Outright Libertarians event that night. He's going to fall in love with the LP. Later, he is going to go to the LPF convention. Nobody is going to say anything particularly stupid to him. I mean,
well, don't underestimate us libertarians.
It's a convention, man, and Lord knows what happens there.
Yeah, Florida too. My God, what am I saying? Anyway, we have hope for the best. And the guy is so nice, and apparently he knows my plans entirely. I was saying to him what I planned on, because I haven't really made plans for his life, but I kind of have,
Yeah, you have.
Poor guy. But he's into it. And the thing is, he doesn't really have to change anything he's doing. His parties are fun. That's what the LPF needs to do more of, is have fun. And this guy is great fun. I don't see any downside to it, you know. And okay, we're all competitive, you know. Libertarians are competitive among each other and all that. It would be really, really fun to have Sarasota's LPF chapter be gayer than Fort Lauderdale and Key West. You know, I mean, I want to be the gayest.
So
Throw down that
so
gauntlet.
here's the one thing I will suggest though is don't immediately stick him as being chair. We have the tendency to take other newbies and throw all the responsibility on them.
Yeah.
Do something like,
And we burn them out
hey,
too soon.
yes, the ones that survive
This
it.
means that if I do this, I would have to be chair. I don't want to be chair though.
Well, so but that's the thing. Be chair and let him be like social outreach,
Mm-hmm.
and then it brings a ton of people into the party. It brings a ton of people into the movement, and
Mhm.
then you can start. Hey, these are new people. Get them acclimated to the libertarian philosophy and all that stuff, and then they can start taking over positions. But
I think that's a good idea. I think this guy knows enough about us to know who Joe Bishop Henchman is and stuff like that. And so I think, I don't know. Oh, I mean, I'm always used to losing. I'm scared I'm going to lose on this one too. But it just seems like
just be cool,
it's
man. Just be cool.
yeah. It seems like the pretty girl. It seems like the pretty girl wants to date us. You know. I don't want to describe him as the pretty girl. You know, he's this gay dude. He's a very cool gay dude.
It's all right. It's a fine allegory.
Yep. All right. So
Good luck.
yes.
Thank you.
All right. So in the news this week, actually, this came from the BBC, which I get most of my news from. So a gentleman named Joe Ligon was serving. He served 68 years in prison for a crime he committed when he was a juvenile. Pennsylvania has some jacked up laws. In 2016, the Supreme Court rejected the idea of life without prison for juvenile offenders. So it made all of the states, all the people that were juvenile offenders in prison for life without parole, made all the states revisit those convictions. This guy spent 68 years in prison. Granted, I'm he was convicted of a double murder. Sketchy details at best. It was,
At best.
At best.
At best.
Yes.
Oh, I have things to say.
Yeah, this case was. I mean, it blows my mind that somebody spent 68 years in prison for a crime they committed when they were 15 years old.
This young man was with a group of people he had never met. He knew two people, but he only knew their nicknames. He didn't know them well enough to know their actual names. And they were drinking.
Yeah.
Okay. But the problem started somehow a fight broke out and several people were stabbed and a couple were murdered. Now, it from the sources that I read, none of the people prosecuted were actually like the instigators. They were just the people, some of the people in the group. And this young man, being a young man, and also a transplant from rural Alabama, which at the time
and he couldn't read or write.
Right, much more rural than we think of today.
Oh yeah.
So this child had very limited resources, transplanted to a big city, and
his parents weren't even allowed to visit him.
Right.
Yeah.
He got swept up in this, and he didn't even know to ask for legal counsel, to ask what his sentencing entailed. This young man lived in ignorance in a cage, and for probably no reason. He claims innocence. He said he didn't murder anyone, but he did express regret that he was involved.
Yeah.
Um,
He did admit to stabbing one person, but they survived.
right.
Yeah. But that's not 68-year conviction right there.
No. And especially not for a 15-year-old. And when you told me earlier today that we were going to be talking about this, I got on my little researching kick because the human brain is by no means fully developed at age 15.
No.
And so I wanted to research a little bit more about, when does it fully develop? And so 90% of your brain develops by the time you're age 5. And I made up this list because I'm a Excel spreadsheet nerd.
There you go.
The development starts in the back and moves toward the front. Now, the prefrontal cortex is responsible for a whole lot. Let's see. Golly, I thought I thought I had it. Well, at any rate, between 7 years old and 22 years old, the neural connections are still pruning. The wiring of the brain is still in process. And electrical impulses are still not entirely stable. And the prefrontal cortex is the last to mature. And it involves the control of impulses and decision making. So to condemn a 15-year-old to a life sentence, I mean, it doesn't make any logical sense. This child has not finished developing.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, incarceration, I think there are other alternatives out there.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's inhumane. And particularly, he mentioned that he had spent his life rather solitarily. He had a single cell his
Yeah.
whole life. So this child spent his entire life alone.
Yeah. The way that we do criminal justice in this country is absolutely perverse. And people will like, oh, you're going to be soft on crime. You're going to be soft on crime. Hell no. Look at Sweden. Look at Denmark. Look at how they treat crime. How even the worst prisoners, like that dude Anders Breivik, who slaughtered a bunch of people on that island, well, he did a bomb and then he slaughtered a bunch of people on an island in Norway. He's in a prison. He's not going to get out. I don't think the dude's going to be rehabilitated. He's a racist piece of trash. Or a Nazi piece of trash, same thing basically. But but the way they do prisons in Norway and Sweden and Denmark, the amount of recidivism that comes out of those prisons is nil compared to what we get in our prisons. I mean, it really is kind of this cycle, because not only do we punish people by putting them in prison in these inhumane cages the way they do it here, but then we haunt them for the rest of their life by having this criminal conviction on their record, which makes it almost impossible to get jobs, which to survive, then they reoffend, or they see prison as a much better lifestyle than being out, because they have no skills, they have no ability to make ends meet. They're denied jobs, they're denied everything, and now well, I'll just go back in the hole because they're into prison because it's an environment I know, and I get 3 squares. I can work, uh, you know, uh, and and it's not an ideal life, absolutely, but it becomes, when you're starving on the streets and you don't have any other ways to feed yourself, there's no reason for people to not go back into prison.
Especially, I mean, and there's so many contributing factors. I mean, not to mention the very least of which that the infrastructure of our country that we've created is prohibitive to self-sustainability. But also, we strip them of their human rights. They aren't allowed to own firearms. They aren't allowed to vote. And essentially they aren't allowed to get a job unless they are lucky enough to find someone to grant them a second chance. And all of their connections are in prison because that's what we encourage. There's this whole prison class that has been created and encouraged by the people who make profit off of it.
Yeah.
It's interwoven and so disgustingly broken. It needs to, something drastic needs to happen. I'm not the one who has the answers as to what, but I know a lot of studies have been done.
Yeah.
But I think that the treatment of young adults, certainly up until the age of 25 even, the treatment needs to be revisited heavily.
Yeah. Because I mean, you look at a juvenile detention center; it's not really any different than a adult detention center. It's the same concept. So they're not getting anything like, oh well, yeah. Their only benefit there is that they have younger offenders in the same facility. But
if anything, they would benefit from older people being around them, because there's so many people who don't want this young person being right. I agree.
Yes.
They don't want this another person following in their footsteps along this path that is very lonely, very dangerous, and very stressful. But even like ages 18, when you can, or younger, you can be tried as an adult.
Yep.
It's absurd. Your brain isn't done developing. And especially at the time when your brain is developing is when you need that human connection the most.
Yeah, there's another story that I found ridiculous coming out of your state there, James, in Florida. A young lady is being tried as an adult, and her mom being tried as an adult for rigging a homecoming queen election.
Oh God, yes. I saw.
Is this
as an adult?
A civil suit?
No, tried as an adult, as a criminal.
The teenagers being tried along with her mom as an adult. They rigged the homecoming queen contest. I mean, what I was going to mention is that, not enough of us are mentioning the fact that our man John McAfee is in this Spanish cage, and those people need to let him out. It's a tax misdemeanor. It's not even a felony that he's in for. And this is basically just the United States government being vindictive and hating libertarians. And,
I mean, it's how they got Al Capone.
Yeah,
why are we surprised that they would do it again?
McAfee is not a perfect person. I'm certain that people are going to whine about various things. He's not a murderer, okay? If you ask me, Dateline NBC is not journalists. But, he's not a perfect person, but he's a funny guy. And he has paid, John McAfee may have paid more federal taxes than the rest of the entire United States Libertarian Party combined. I don't know. It's a possibility, though. He's paid a lot of taxes. The idea of putting him in a prison in a foreign country and trying to extradite him over taxes is just ridiculous. He can't run. He's half of an interracial couple. He is not exactly, he's easy to recognize. The dude is very easy to recognize. He is in his 70s, if he might be 80 by now. And it's just crazy to be bothering him. Leave him alone. Bothering him is not going to solve the nation's debt problem. Yes, he pushed various scammy crypto stuff. We all knew it was a scam. We joked with him when he was pushing it. It's ridiculous to be, calling him a bad person at all. He's just John.
Well, let's not forget that it's another way to smear the name of libertarians.
Yeah.
If one of our figureheads is a bad person, then we're all complicit.
Yeah. It's just the libertarians. They don't want to pay taxes anyway, so let's throw the book at them. Yeah.
He is so much fun to drink shots with. It's ridiculous. you got to get drunk with this guy
Oh my
sometime.
God. Did you
No
go?
thanks.
Play the piano, I'm jealous of that kind of talent. I don't have any musical talent at all.
Well, did you go to did you do the 2016 convention? I mean, it was down by you.
Yeah.
Did you do that party that he threw? I can't even remember what the name of the party.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it? There was
Holy
people in costumes.
People in costumes. There was the French fry guy from Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Jesus and like just people in costumes. It was a really trippy experience. Yeah, I went in there for about 20 minutes. I was like, wow.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
spoke with his wife, Janice, who, by the way, Janice is a total sweetheart. I mean, and we've got to support her in Spain.
Yeah.
I'm going to be pissed off at Spain if they make him die in there, but if any libertarians are in Spain, they need to come support Janice wherever the hell she is and try to help her and maybe go visit him. I mean, we've got to support our man. I mean,
Yeah.
I think about this, what if it was me on the run with my pittance of Bitcoin 20 years from now, I mean, I would want libertarians to be trying to help me out.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. Criminal justice in this country needs such a revamping. What from removing the number of laws on the books. Everything is triplicated when you think about it. There are federal crimes,
Mhm.
state crimes, there are municipal crimes. So you can get charged from the federal level down to the municipal level or county level where you're living at. There are so many laws in the books with criminal penalties. Federally, this is federally. We're not even counting the state and municipal crimes. So many crimes on the books with criminal penalties that they can't count them. They've had several different universities have tried to study it and count the number of laws in the books, and they can't do it because one, tomorrow there'll be 3 more laws in the books done by regulations that carry criminal penalties that were not passed by a federal law.
Let's go back to how rigging this is so absurd that this is considered a criminal case.
Well, so the criminal case is based off the fact that the mom. See, I don't know why she is getting stitched up on this one, but the mom was a employee of the school system, and they spoofed a bunch of student accounts to vote in this election. So it's a hacking case, which
Okay.
but
It's
Okay.
a really inept hacking case, like the world's most inept hacker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a high level hack.
But it just seems so ridiculous, so overkill.
Using the criminal justice system to deal with this rather than the game of your ass try to cheat on a popularity contest. I'm like, for what? For what?
And now we're giving them publicity.
It's
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah, so rigging a homecoming election is now hey, I'm sure Donald Trump will probably try and use this as some kind of evidence of election rigging. So
This is the 4D chess. They're just pawns.
I've been totally remiss on your show and on Princess's show earlier. I did not mention that I am a newly minted Society of Professional Journalists journalist.
Nice.
Because of the meme that does better journalism on the debate scam than journalists actually do, I decided to become a journalist. I've declared myself one. It's pissing some people off. Like I told you earlier, I'm really good at infuriating people, and I don't want to be so good at that. I want to be good at being a good person and good at helping people and all that. And instead, I'm really good at being an asshole and being infuriating. But, such is life.
Well, a good journalist does help people. If you're going out there and doing the real journalism work, which is holding people accountable, holding them to account, not accepting the official government policy as as the gospel, not accepting the story that somebody tells you as policy, but digging deeper and finding the truth and reporting the truth. That's a service. That is a public service that we've lost in our
Mm-hmm.
I call it remedial journalism, but get this, okay? I'm going to turn 60. Oh God, that's depressing. Just saying that's depressing. I'm going to turn 60 on November 28th. Okay. And what I want to do, okay, Rays live a long time, so I'm probably going to live another 100 years or whatever.
Right.
But I really want to kill the Commission on Debates scam before I'm dead. I want it to die. I don't want it to reform. I want it to die. I want the libertarians to be in the future debates. But that's one of the things that, that was one of the reasons that it really broke my heart when Joe Jorgensen was excluded, because I knew Joe was going to be excluded.
Yeah.
And that was part of why I supported Vermin Supreme, because I wanted to treat the process as a joke. And there's this 1 minute Let Her Speak video. And I swear to God, I can't watch that thing without crying like a baby every single time because of the young moms and their kids, especially the little girls. It just kills me that that they got that kind of disappointment when what I wanted to give them was a time traveling space wizard.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see
Doctor
that.
Who. Yeah, even though Vermin is not Doctor Who, but anyway.
Well, I mean, it wasn't going to be the thing is, this year was going to be such a bad year for us. And I think Joe did an outstanding job. I supported her. I love her. It wasn't perfect from my point of view, but I'm sure Vermin would have dissatisfied me. Everybody dissatisfies me. And God knows I don't want me to be the guy. I mean,
sorry about your wife. I don't know if you're married. I'm just being a dick. I'm sorry.
No. And believe me, nobody would have me.
I'm in that boat too. But speaking of young women, the bombing in Kabul yesterday.
Yeah,
68 young women.
Yeah,
mostly women.
Because they're on a Islamic calendar. They were in school on Saturday, and because I think Friday is their Sunday on their calendar. So first day of school of the week, they are getting out of school, and a bombing attack happened. And it is the area of the town area of Kabul that had happened is a predominantly Shiite section of town. Hazaris, I think, maybe. But anyway, Taliban has denied this attack, but they think it's the Islamic State who has repeatedly attacked this area, because it falls along the Shiite Sunni break, and the Islamic State is Sunni. This is a Shiite group, and they view them as heretics. But this is kind of part and parcel of what we're going to see over the next few months before we're supposed to leave Afghanistan. We're going to see these attacks in Kabul, in Herat, and all the other big cities pick up, and the Biden administration is going to just use this as an excuse for us to go for another 20 damn years.
I can't believe that somebody would attack little girls deliberately.
There's even in the world.
Welcome to history. Boy, have I got news for you.
I know, but I can't believe it. It just keeps happening. And I'm like, of all things that you could attack.
Yeah. That's part of it, is that it's such a attention grabbing attack. That's part of it, is why that they after.
Part of it is my horror. My horror actually makes the attack better.
Yeah.
which is horrifying in and of itself. It's
Yeah.
it's meta horrifying.
It's depressing, yeah, because I mean, you like if they bombed a military base, that's a military
We'd
base.
forget it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I'd be like,
I
okay.
agree with you, David. I think this is absolutely going to be used to keep us there.
Yeah.
And especially like no one's owning up to it. So, I mean, that's suspect. It was a car bomb, by the way. Ugh. At least 100 were also injured. So 68 dead, 100 plus injured.
That's a massive bomb when you think about it.
Mhm.
Jesus. This world sucks.
Can you imagine, like, I don't know, bonobos and baboons just bombing each other? Like, that's the absurdity.
I know. Like,
bones with
that, but
bags
the
of
locals would have
meat.
sex with each other.
yeah, is this what we developed higher functioning brains for? Like, is that we're completely wasting it on this? Oh, they're bad, they're different. Like, why is
And
that
to
bad?
what end?
Yeah,
Right.
why is that bad? Do you think this bombing is going to say they're going to go? Oh, you're right. I should be a Shia or I should be a Sunni. Oh, let's
Right.
join Sunni.
I've
No,
changed my ways. Thanks.
yeah,
Well, and I don't know the exact Islamic story between the Shias and the Sunnis, but apparently it's something so old and so Hatfields and McCoys and so
yeah.
insignificant that it's just it makes them seem weird. Whenever I try to understand it, I don't understand it.
Oh, we do it too.
What? But
Oh yeah,
Make no mistake.
yeah,
well,
Yeah.
the Catholics and the
I
Protestants.
dated a Hatfield, by the way, a Hatfield descendant. His
Oh,
last name was
Oh,
Dunn.
really? What did he
He
say?
was psycho.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
there we go.
So I don't really
So there
know
we go.
what he said about the feud because I'm kind of curious,
Now they actually have softball games, and it's all in good fun.
Yeah, now they make money off of it because people come.
Yeah.
I
Like,
hope
that
they do.
Hatfield McCoy country, and
The
they
movie was pretty good. That History Channel did a while.
Yeah.
I watched it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
See that
I
one.
don't
Green's
know.
a bastard.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Another piece of depressing news is this week I got invited to a group for my 30th high school reunion. How the fuck did that happen?
Are you going?
I'm going to try because I mean, it's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I love going to Albuquerque. The only way I won't be able to do it is like if they schedule it like around this time of the LNC, the convention next year in Reno, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. It's Memorial Day weekend, so. But yeah, if I'm free, I'm definitely going just because some people I really like and some people it'd be interesting to see where they've gone in their lives.
You won't ever catch me dead at one of my high school reunions. And it's not like I was particularly unhappy. I just have this core disdain for revisiting my past. No desire, thanks.
I'm certainly a different person than I was back then, but I do try to attend them. And recently, thanks to the plague or whatever, my high school had one during the plague, and it was interesting and amusing. I mean, generally, this high school spends a lot of their time asking everyone for money. But aside from that, they're not that annoying. And I've gone to the things and actually taught a few classes for them, because I knew some of the teachers and they knew I was not going to be drooling in the, going to actually be a good, person or whatever. And so I taught them some things. Like I actually brought a Nolan chart into the class and stuff like that. So I had an interesting libertarian discussion, but I didn't want to push that too hard, because they know I'm a libertarian, but generally they are not. They are definitely Republicans and Democrats, and they think I'm an idiot. Which,
The irony.
you're right.
Look who you guys nominated.
They're the idiots, is what I was implying, not you, James.
Well, who knows?
They're the idiots. The quality of people that they put up as their candidates.
Mhm.
Yeah, all of them, knowing them as high school students and then watching them troll or try to troll each other on Facebook as adults or something resembling adults is, interesting because I remember these kids, and I'm like, holy shit, this is hilarious. Of course,
As a woman recently in the dating pool, I am surprised at how little men have matured.
don't be.
Yeah.
It's a damn shame. I don't want to be anyone's mother. Thank you very much. Grow up, man.
Well, that's the thing. Like I see people talking about their dating experiences now, and like I could never see myself again. Like I think
I'm kind of over it already. I'll be honest.
I'm happily married. Like I just it just from ghosting after the first date to being on one of these dating apps, and all of a sudden you're getting pictures of phalluses. And
I could even get over that, like, because whatever, like, we're all human beings and we all have flesh. Like, okay, cool, you have a dick. Good job.
But does sending a picture of your dick ever work? I can't imagine it.
With the right gal.
There's really got to be some chick. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, look, I don't want you seeing this at all. When it comes out, it's going to be very, very dark, and we're going to just be pretending that it's not as ugly of a piece of flesh as it actually is.
See, that's the thing. Men might think that their phalluses are ugly, but I mean, the right gal, I love dick. It's glorious.
See, this is why I don't even. I can't understand that. Now, vaginas, on the other hand,
they're hideous. They look like aliens.
They are and beautiful.
Well, I'm ready for an encounter, so.
Beautiful and diverse. I can't believe you call them hideous. And each one is so different.
Well, see,
Well,
this goes to the heart of the attraction. Like if you're attracted to men, and penis is fine. If you're attracted to women, vaginas are fine. If you're attracted to both, hey.
Well, now I am attracted to both, and I still prefer dick. Like, vagina's just kind of looks weird to me.
I mean, I do think I'm certainly no expert in the realm of chemical makeup and biology and all that stuff of what goes beyond into attraction, but I think even if you consider yourself bi, that you're always going to have one side or the other, or you're gonna have a preference for one over the other. It just to a varying degree.
I'm not so sure about that, but maybe it's true. But did you two ever hear about the gay bomb?
No. That sounds like some kind of
in the Clinton administration, when we had almost a surplus, or at least the deficit seemed to be going away, and they were trying to figure out ways of spending money. One of the ways that the military figured out to maybe spend some money was on a hormonal bomb. The theory behind it being that if you bombed your enemy with this non-lethal but hormonal substance,
a chemical weapon,
he would turn gay.
Oh, I did hear that, and it's like preposterous. It just doesn't work like that.
but they spent $6 million on it. Okay, look, I mean, it was a lot of money. There was a huge amount of money, and okay, I've made jokes about this, but I'm kind of not joking. That look, I would accept being bisexual if it doubled my chances for sexual success every night. I mean, I am not the greatest specimen of I get lucky sometimes, but it's generally luck. I want all the chances I can get, and if I suddenly somehow found dudes non-hideous, that would effectively double my chances, right? I mean, it's a big deal. But the problem is these idiots, okay, these lunatics in the religious community who think that they can treat the gay away, they're never trying to sell people like me the service of becoming bisexual. But if their theory worked, they should be trying to turn dudes like me into bisexuals. Now the problem is their theory is bullshit, okay? Yeah. But if it weren't bullshit, this would be a tempting option. I mean, especially for dudes as ugly as me. Come on.
So did you guys see it came out a while back, but it resurfaced again this week on my news feed that Milo Yiannopoulos, the conservative provocateur, alt-right provocateur, claims that he is ex-gay and wants to rehabilitate the image of conversion therapy, which is a complete bullshit.
So he's not married to a dude anymore? I thought he was married to a dude.
I don't know what's going on with him.
Man, I can't keep track of these people either. I can barely keep track of my own life. I mean,
yeah, this is true.
I can understand people who regret having a dick. I mean, I don't regret having it enough to cut it off. But on the other hand, I've had some second thoughts.
I don't. Okay.
I don't have any issues.
I don't think that people are cutting off their dicks because they regret having one. I mean,
it's probably more complex than that. I mean,
I'm
pretty simple-minded on this kind of stuff, and I'm scared of. Look, I'm scared of any surgery. I'm scared of being poked with a needle to the point that I want to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine rather than the others, because then they only stick me once.
Yeah.
I'm that much of a wimp.
No, I mean, and there's so much medical malpractice. I would hardly call you a wimp. It's wise to not let someone cut your body.
Yes.
I donated plasma yesterday, and there was an issue with returning the red blood cells, and so they had to go into my other arm, and I told them not to. I'm like, I'm difficult. You're not going to find a vein. And he dug around like 4 times. I'm like, sitting there like screaming like, hey, this hurts. Can we just stop? Yeah, it's awful, and I wouldn't recommend it.
I'd be like, you do that one more time, I'm going to punch you in the balls.
Funny enough, that thought never occurred to me.
Somebody starts sticking around my arm with a needle. Yeah, you're going to get punched in the balls eventually.
I'm blessed with giant, easy to find veins. So that never or almost never happens, but it's happened to me once. And when it happened, there was this huge bruise of blood that came out, and it was gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In 2001, 9/11 happened, and I was 16. Yeah, had to been 16.
So young.
Do the math, Emily. Yeah, and you're not allowed to donate blood until you're 17, or at least in Ohio, that was the case. And I was just mortified that I wasn't able to do anything to help.
Yeah.
And so I vowed that I would donate blood as soon as I could. So on my 17th birthday, I did just that. And I treated myself, and I went out and I donated blood. And then I was a frequent donor, and I did it so often that my veins were just like, fuck this. And they just got lower and lower and harder to find. And so now I can't, it's hard for me to even get a blood draw. So
yeah.
There's that story.
So James Savina talks about our governor trying to pay people to take the vaccine. So he's giving young people wants to give young people $100 savings bond, which if you've been paying attention to inflation, that's going to be like 13 cents in a couple weeks.
Right.
So he's been doing all kinds of things to get more people, because West Virginia did a good job rolling out the vaccine, but fewer and fewer. Basically, you've gotten the people that want to take the vaccine have taken it. But there are people who are very resistant to taking the vaccine. So he's trying to cajole them into doing it. At one point, he said, if we get to 70%, he'll remove the mask mandate. That failed. So now he's going to remove the mask mandate on June 28th, which is our I can't remember what number or anniversary of the statehood for West Virginia, which kind of begs the question: why are you doing it on that date? Is there any scientific basics to removing the mask mandate at that point? Yeah, it's ridiculous, and so we are. He's just trying to bribe people into doing it because he got so much play off of the early rollout that he was invited onto Fox News all the time, and he was invited onto some of the other news channels to why is West Virginia doing so well? Well, now it's not doing as well. When it comes to the percentage of people who have been vaccinated, we're middle of the pack, maybe even lower middle of the pack. But like I said, I think we've gotten everybody who wants to get the vaccine at this point.
The more they push it, the more I resist.
I posted in the chat what's working, and what's working is free beer. If you give people beer, they will get vaccinated.
Oh, Buffalo News.
Up. And shockingly enough, it's a New York rather than Florida story.
It's Buffalo, yeah, Buffalo, New York.
But I mean, this is human nature. Look, different people want different things. My mom got the Moderna thing and got both doses. And what Emily was saying earlier about the medical malpractice is actually right. Okay. I mean, I was scared when my mom got the one Moderna shot. I was scared they were going to fuck it up and give her the second shot of a Pfizer,
Yeah.
They didn't, but I was just figuring, look, something's going to go wrong, but I just don't want them jabbing me twice at all. I would rather them not jab me once, but I will get the vaccine. I mean, I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-needle.
Yeah, I can see Baby Doll getting the vaccine.
I'm not anti-vax either, but I'm not going to get this vaccine. I don't get the flu shot.
Yeah.
Why would I get this?
I'm not into making anyway. I got both of the Pfizer's, Pfizer. I got both the Pfizer's about a month ago, but I did it because I knew it. Well, one, I've got all the fantastic comorbidities you could have with it. And two, I knew I was going to be traveling a lot this summer. So yeah, why not do that?
That makes sense.
But hey, you know what, Jim? Start throwing out some free beer. I might go get some more shot. I'll do it again.
Well, I'm thinking, I'm reading this story and I'm seeing it's Erie County, New York, and I'm thinking this is what would work in Florida. I mean, I would hate it, but I might even go get the 2-dose version just to have beer. But really, I want the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson version. I am not a middle-aged woman. I am not going to get the blood clots. Just jab me with the one and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, just get it done.
Oh yeah.
Or if you want to get it done, and you should be able to choose the type that you want to get done. There are enough of them out there. Just say, hey, I want the Johnson & Johnson, which should be, getting. They were expecting the Johnson & Johnson to kind of eclipse the other two, just because people are going to prefer the 1 jab to the 2 jab. But yeah, I don't know. I think that. If you want to get it. If you don't, you don't have to get it. I don't like the idea of vaccine passports where they want to, do things. Make you get the passport to be able to do anything. there were some things where they had, there was a controversy this week that the state of New York is buying a bunch of baseball tickets, and if you get the vaccine, you get to go to a ball game.
I've heard the passports are apparently half forged anyway. So
Well, this isn't the little cards. This is an app that is tied to your public health record, and
I am not going to support. I am not going to support that.
I've
And
got it.
fuck all this
I'm not
peer
going
pressure
to
bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I don't trust other people enough to believe that all of a sudden they know better than I do. Like,
Yeah.
and the more they push me, the more I'm going to fight back. It's not even that I'm anti-authority, because y'all know I have daddy issues, but peer pressure is just, it doesn't work on me.
No,
and it's insulting further.
yeah,
I get all angry.
James is right. Recommended, not required is
Yes.
the way to go. Recommend it. Put all the signs.
But even that pisses me off. Like, recommended, why? Like, what kind of success rate has been shown consistently in we don't know exactly.
Yeah, we don't know. We won't know until we probably won't know really until the fall, when it's supposed to, another wave would normally hit.
By then it's going to be mutated.
Yeah.
Just like with the flu shots that end up not being very effective either.
No, the flu shot gets reformulated every year with their predicted
right.
Yeah, the predictive strains of flu, and sometimes it's successful. Sometimes it's wildly inaccurate, and you end up getting the flu. I get the flu shot because I'm diabetic. I do that just because of preventative measure. But does it mean I don't get the flu? No, I get the flu sometimes, just because it's a prediction. And yeah, eventually the COVID will be part of this cocktail of stuff they put into the annual flu shot, because they can maybe predict that COVID's going to swing back around next year. I don't know, but what I am worried about is that we have left countries like India, who make a lot of the vaccine. This is the irony about the India situation. They make a ton of the vaccine. It's all shipped out. So they're making the vaccine that we're putting in our arms, or probably Europe more than us. But they don't have enough for their own people, and their own people, they're going through absolute hell right now, running out of wood because they burned so many people in their funeral pyres. Because that's the traditional Hindu way of disposing of a body is a funeral pyre rather than burying them. But they're running out of wood. Like, this is this is just perverse that they make so much of the vaccine, but it's shipped to other countries to take care of England and France and Germany and all that stuff.
Well, and that kind of ties us nicely back into how poverty is criminalized and punished heavily. To this day, it's disgusting. And fortunately, being in a first world country, we don't see it as frequently as we used to. So now up and coming countries and third world still. What is
Cot.
HAT?
Cot. It's a it's a stimulant. It's I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like a root that you can chew, and it stimulates you. And it's a low level stimulant. It's not like it's completely mess you up, but it's very popular in the Horn of Africa and Yemen.
Huh.
Yeah, basically everybody who's getting shot is using it, but I'm just, cannabis at this point is not controversial enough for me anymore. At this point, I despise the Florida politicians so much, and they're so awful. But I'm a legal Florida cannabis patient, so I'm about to smoke a little bit of a joint And
Hey,
That's right.
okay.
I usually get high on the show anyway. I'm not because I'm starting a new job and I don't know if they might test
I
me
don't
again
even
or
care
not.
anymore. I mean, if somebody's gonna hire me, they're gonna have to know that I use cannabis. But I use it. I'm a legit patient, and I have a good doctor. My doctor's the best.
So in Illinois, they don't have protections for medical cannabis patients.
Well, I'm not listed as medical, nor will I be, just based on principle.
Yeah.
Because then they'll take away my right for to own a firearm, which they already really are working on anyway. I have
Well,
to have like a firearm owner's identification card. So yeah, no, I mean it's legal here recreationally, but
Yeah.
even if it weren't, I would still use it, and it would still have no effect on my job performance whatsoever because I'm responsible.
Yeah. So I mean that's the thing. Like I get these people are like, oh well, if you legalize cannabis, people are gonna get high on the job. Like, no, that's the worst thing you could ever do. Like having used cannabis before, I it slows down time for me. The last thing I want to do is feel like I've spent 16 hours of work in a day. I want to get
Right?
done with the day, then I can spark up and have a good time. But sitting at your desk, staring at a computer screen, and 3 hours later looking down and only 1 minute's gone by, you're just like, oh, that's
Well, and you know what?
I can't
There's a
tell
really easy answer to someone getting high on the job: firing them.
yes,
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
like you would if someone brought some booze on the job. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of guys that would go get loaded at lunch, and that's what you do is you fire them. You know, do you offer them substance abuse support? Sure, but if they can't, they refuse it, then you fire them and be done with it. That's see that they try and make all these issues in cannabis that we've already dealt with for years with alcohol, and it's frustrating because yes, cannabis right now is no longer sexy because we've had so many places legalize it, but it's still a struggle here in West Virginia. We still,
mhm.
2017, we passed medical marijuana. We still have zero medical marijuana dispensaries. People are starting to get cards. They have to pay money to get these medical marijuana cards. Uh, are they going to get reimbursed when they're not going to be able to, because next year they're going to have to re-up the card, pay more money to get the card, and then are they going to get reimbursed the money that they spent in the state because the state can't get its shit together to open a medical marijuana dispensary?
It's a fucking racket, is what it
It is.
is.
In
It
Florida,
is.
at least have canna monopolies that are nice and corrupt, and
Oh yeah, we're going to have those.
the politicians. This one politician, the Democrat who is probably going to become the next governor, is totally on the payroll and got totally suspiciously rich really quick. And the Republicans are so venal with frat gates and stuff like that. And did I mention the $900,000 payoff to you or not? Or was it Princeless?
Probably Princess.
Oh, okay. There's this thing, and I'm the only one who bitches about it, but I bitch about it incessantly. Okay. A previous GOP Florida politician named, not Frat Gates, it was Jack Latvala, Latvala. This guy was basically sexually harassing this woman in his employ, and somehow instead of him having to pay for the sexual harassment, the Florida taxpayers paid $900,000 to his victim. And this was right at the start of the
Qualified
Me
immunity.
Too era. And, nobody, okay, the Republican Liberty Caucus hypocrites who hate my guts, by the way, they have not found me a lawyer for it. They found one quack, but not a real lawyer, and nobody willing to take a case. And the Democrat Party, they also haven't found me a lawyer. They hate my guts too. But basically, I will take any lawyer with a Florida ticket. Like I told Princess Rivulet earlier tonight, anybody. My standards are as low as they come. The worst lawyer in Florida, if he has a ticket to practice in Florida, needs to be my lawyer for this case. I am named plaintiff number one. I will paste it into the chat. And what I want is to get thrown out of court. The likelihood is that I will get thrown out of court with the excuse of having no standing. Standing is translated to human from lawyerese. Standing is get the fuck out of my courtroom, you idiot. You are wasting my time. I'm a very busy judge, and I have a foot tall stack of cases that don't involve your stupid political agenda. And that's probably what the judge is going to say to me about my stupid political agenda. But you would think that a $900,000 slap and tickle payoff would be under one of the exceptions to the rules of standing. And the problem is it probably isn't.
Well, that's it's what we've all been arguing for, is to end qualified immunity, because qualified immunity doesn't just impact the police officers that shoot somebody. They impact the legislators who sexually harass people, and
Good point.
this is a qualified immunity case, and
I
so,
hadn't even thought of that, but you're right.
There is such a pervasive underlying, I don't know, it's a power worship culture that, I mean, it's easy to be like, well, the person who is being harassed asked for it, or the person who was jaywalking asked for the ticket and then to be jailed because he couldn't afford the ticket, etc. And that's the problem, is that we aren't standing up and saying that's bullshit. It's bullshit.
But this is a great way to bring the idea of qualified immunity reform into the political forefront, and saying, you know what, we're paying off people for the misdeeds of your state legislator who can't behave like a fucking human being. And he faces no repercussions because he's probably gerrymandered into a very safe district, and so he's going to do this again because all of the incentives are perverse and have created a system that is going to reward him for being a dickbag and hitting assaulting women or harassing women, and we're only going to have to pay for more. If it's not him, it's going to be someone else who is emboldened by this. It's just like with the cops. If you don't end qualified immunity, there really is no, outside of criminal liability, there's nothing you can do to the police for any negligent behavior.
Well, and that's why I'm saying we're not going to end qualified immunity until more of us start saying, we're blaming victims here.
Yeah. Or we're just, it's hush money, and we're, get them out of here. We'll give you a nice payoff, but it doesn't impact the person that's doing the wrongdoing. So if you said, all right, well, we're going to take it out of the public employees and pension fund, then you're going to have much more accountability. Just like with the police officers, we're going to take it out of the police officers' retirement fund. Then you're going to see police officers police themselves a whole lot harder than what they're doing right now. Yeah, the appetite right now is not enough for qualified immunity, but I think this is an issue that we can push that will resonate with people. I don't care if it's passed under a Democrat or Republican, or if we have to wait until we're in power to do it. I just want it done because it's the right thing to do, and it's the only way we're going to get some kind of a semblance of accountability from our public leaders and our public servants.
I totally agree, David, but I would want to point out, if you look at the second URL that I just posted, okay, and click on it and notice the date, that explains the whole frat Gates thing, the impunity, the fact that he got away. Whether or not it was qualified immunity, and I think it probably was, actually, that's probably the best explanation. This kind of thing has been going on forever in Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah.
And this criminality that both parties perform, that's why they were willing to spend two, not one, two tricked out Lamborghinis to keep Allison Foxall out of office, okay? In an off year, Allison would have gotten the shitty end of basically in Florida, you get 2 years if you're a legislator, and the first of the 2 years is you can actually do something. The second of the 2 years, you don't get to introduce bills or do anything. You just get the shitty year. And that's what Allison would have gotten. And for Allison, the LPF raised a record amount of money. We raised a new Honda Civic, about 40 grand. Okay. These motherfuckers opposing us both raised a tricked out Lamborghini. It was shit. It wasn't quite $1 million. I think one of them was $800,000 and one of them was $900,000. But it was basically, this is for an off-year election. This is for a special election. This is for a piece of shit election. I don't know how to emphasize enough how piece of shit election was. And that's how much they were willing to spend, because they knew how powerful Allison Foxall was, how attractive Allison Foxall was, and how much they wanted to keep us out of office. That was one thing the Democrat and Republican parties could definitely agree on.
Yeah. So I remember that election, and yeah, I mean, I used to do back in my unknowing Republican days, I worked on a campaign where I did some opposition research, and mainly was to look over the finance records of our opponent. And it was amazing. So this was a Georgia Senate race. Georgia Senate paid $16,000 a year. That is the pay that you get for being a Georgia state senator. This dude dumped $250,000 of his own money into a $16,000 a year race, like more dollars than cents. I was floored. Like there's no, but I know now. I didn't know back then, but I know now. He's probably made off of graft and corruption far more than that $250,000, because he was he's like a general contractor, so he had money. He's probably got all kinds of kickbacks and all that kind of fun stuff to make back that $250,000. But it's still, it floors me to see how much money somebody will spend on an office. I mean, Matt Gaetz was the same way. Pizza Gates was the same way. He spent, and we know that he got a lot of his money actually from the cannabis industry. But he was like a year or two out of law school and ran and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his race to win a state. I don't even know if it was state house or state senate race.
It was state house, but basically he was financed also by his daddy making a whole bunch of money in the medical business, and basically a whole bunch of Republican crooks, like not just his daddy, but Rick Scott, all kinds of others, made all kinds of money off of like Rick Scott is a Medicare fraudster. It's amazing. I mean, I don't know why the guy isn't hiding in the Cayman fucking Islands right now.
He used to be in a Spanish jail instead of
instead of McAfee. You're exactly right. Why are you reading my mind? It's creepy. Stop it right now, David.
But yeah, I mean, seriously, and that whole culture that allowed Matt Gaetz to fester and impose himself on the state of Florida, and then be elected as a congressman in the state of Florida, and then do what he does, and then I don't have a problem with him. If he wants to pay for sex, that's fine. I don't care. That sex work is work. But just to be a shitty human being to other people,
Yeah.
that was all laid out because he's got enablers within the Republican Party to do that.
Well, and speaking of shitty human beings in Florida, because we've got plenty of them, okay, that asshole Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, should have paid off the Orchids of Asia girls'
Yes.
fines, okay? As a dude, I am a fan of blowjobs. And I can tell you that this dude should have appreciated these girls giving such a hideous man blowjobs, because hideous dudes need blowjobs too. I can tell you that as a hideous dude. And
Hashtag blowjobs for liberty.
yes, well, no, mine is legalized BJs, but what I am doing, okay, in order to troll Kraft into doing something about it, I am trying to cause him pain on Twitter by trolling the living shit out of him on Twitter, to the point that he will give the LPF enough money that we can legalize BJs, because really, adult sex work shouldn't be that complex, okay? And in Florida, it should be a tourism thing. Nevada has it. It keeps this problem off the streets. It keeps this problem from being with kids. There's no more 16-year-old Epstein victim types in legal prostitution states. Let's just legalize blowjobs. And it's not just Robert Kraft. Who else was it? There was a Trump story today. Shit. It was somebody else too, though. But basically,
I remember there's another guy in the Trump administration that got.
There's all kinds of people like the oldest profession. The oldest profession has always been an LP talking point. We may as well just get on board with this and show a sense of humor about it, and make Robert Kraft pay for, especially, okay, I'm obviously wanting him to give money to the LPF, but the first check he should write is to those Orchids of Asia girls and to their lawyers, because they shouldn't have paid any fines, and they shouldn't have paid any legal bills. He's a billionaire that got a blowjob. That means he has to write a check. It's not that complex.
No, and any person worth their salt having that kind of money and knowing that really that raid happened because he was there. They wanted to catch the big fish and embarrass him and all that stuff. That raid happened, and those women are in legal trouble because he was there. That he should have taken care of their legal fees and their fines and all that fun stuff. Although it should not be illegal anyway. But
well, that's the LPF contribution part. That's step 2. Step 1 is giving all those girls a bunch of money and making them whole. Step 2 is giving the LPF some money so we can unfuck this situation and legalize blowjobs, because everybody likes a blowjob.
Yeah, absolutely.
All I'm hearing is that my hashtag that I developed in 2016 finally has a use.
Yeah.
Blowjobs for liberty.
Blowjobs for liberty. Yeah.
It's never taken off, and I'm not sure why.
I don't know either. Why? Because
I mean, legalized BJs is shorter, and I've found that short works, but blowjobs.
Not in the case of blowjobs, am I
right? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, very valid point. You've made a very valid point there.
All right.
Beauty and brains, gentlemen.
That's right.
I could go on all night. It's after 10:30.
That's what she said.
All night.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well,
I heard than him.
I've actually got to go to bed. Well, not go to bed. It's my anniversary today, So,
well, okay, so you gotta go to bed.
I gotta go to bed.
Yes, you should go to bed. Of
Yeah.
all three of us, you should go to bed.
But hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us this week. No deep dive next week because I'll be at the state convention for. There'll be a deep dive. It's a best of Ashley Shade's interview, but no after dark because I'll probably be fried out from the Pennsylvania convention. But we'll be back in 2 weeks with another fun episode of the Political Deep Dive After Dark. Let me get there we go. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks.